Hello and welcome once again to the Thrifty Collector. I got something kind of exciting I got back through the mail just this past week. Baron Von Rashke, if you've never heard of him, he was very big in Japan, very big in the AWA up there in the Minnesota area. He was a college All-American wrestler at Nebraska. And he came up with the gimmick, and you can tell this is a long time ago. He was part of basically, he was a Nazi in a way. Never knew how much he alluded to that. And Mr. Rasky is not a Nazi. He was actually a school teacher, but that was his gimmick, and you could get away with that back then. So the big card is from Gong. It's a Japanese, it was kind of a cutout card that they had way back when, and they're quite expensive. You're going to pay between $30 and $50 if you're lucky to actually find one. They're very, very rare, from 1972. So I've covered up something on there because I don't want to get in trouble or say I'm promoting anything, which I'm not. But the Baron, he was in the WWF, and I remember he came out with the Powers of Pain. And I was like, well, who is this guy? I'd never heard of the Baron, and talked to a couple of people who knew wrestling a little bit better than I did back then in I want to say it was the early mid 90s. And they're like, oh yeah, Baron Von Rashke. So that was his gimmick. He was actually a babyface sometimes, but most of the times, and you could probably agree with this, he was considered a heel. That nobody liked him. But once again, he is a gentleman from Nebraska, and he is a college All-American wrestler, and they say one of the nicest guys to ever be a wrestler. He's still around. He's got to be late 70s, maybe early 80s. But I had sent him this. The smaller card is it's the 1986 Monty card on there. And way I sent these to him, I sent them actually in this protector and in a bubble envelope, and used pirate ship to send the envelope to him, and use pirate ship to send it back to me. So that way it could come back to me. Very quick return. I got 3 cards done. I sent him $20. He usually only charges $5 each, but because I had sent him in the Sharpie and I asked him, please use the Sharpie, I wanted to make sure that he used the Sharpie on this. So if you've ever seen the Baron, I actually watched him against Andre the Giant, a match, and Andre just beat him unmercifully. So, and he was doing his gimmick then, so the crowd was quite happy. But yes, his name is actually James Rashke. But he actually did also send me a letter. I had asked, he's got a biography movie coming out, The Claw. And I saw him on a video where he's being interviewed by somebody. It looked like a American Legion or something like that. It was fairly recent. And he was talking about his movie. And I tried to find some information about where I could watch the movie, just to see how he came from college All-American. He was a teacher. Imagine that. He'd be fired the next day now. But he actually wrote me back. He wrote, "Dear James, thank you for your interest and support of The Claw. I enjoyed what I did and worked hard to give the people their money's worth. The movie The Claw is looking for distributors to get the film to theaters, streaming, or other things that are out there. I'm not personally involved with the business at that end. Warmest regards, Baron." So at least he kind of answered my question. And I've actually sent him a couple of times. I sent him some Wrestling All-Star cards. And he was also in the service in the Army. And I asked him what he did in the Army. And he was basically a food inspector. I think it might have been actually during the Korean War, maybe early Vietnam. I can't remember. But he was in the U.S. Army. So the little card, like I said, is the 86 Monty. He actually had 2 cards back then, and this is the other one. Just a big picture shot of his head. Of course, it being Monty, which I believe was out of Italy, the cards. Not 100% sure. They spelt his name wrong on both cards. So, but he was able to sign that for me. And the back of this card actually has another guy, George Jordanico. And you can tell on this one more that it's in Japanese. So it's these are Japanese cards from way back when, back in the day. But if you get a chance, just look up some of his matches. I thought it was kind of intriguing that he was a college All-American wrestler, which a lot of those guys were back then. He was very tall, kind of lanky, not really a muscle guy. I'm sure he was strong, but very lanky for his height, which made him look even taller. So that's the Baron, and hopefully his movie will come out. Everything I've read about him said he's actually a very nice guy, very well spoken, and but he's got these two Monty cards, this Gong card, and a Wrestling All-Star card. I believe he might have been in the second series from the '82 set. So, but that's it. Like I said, I kind of probably overpaid a little bit for this card, but just reading about him like I do a lot of the other wrestlers that I kind of get into before my time, I thought he was kind of an interesting kind of gentleman. So, but check him out. Check out these cards. Like I said, he asked for $5 each, which is a total and complete bargain. You can still pick up the Monty cards pretty cheap. So if you just want to get those done, the Wrestling All-Stars cards, you know, they've kind of gone up quite a bit. So I was lucky enough to buy all mine when they were still fairly cheap about 5-6 years ago. So thank you once again for checking out the Thrifty Collector. Have an amazing day. And as always, stay thrifty, my friends.